What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome back to the Sooner Surge. If you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, first do that, please. We are very much appreciative of our viewers and what you mean to this program and your likes and your comments. And make sure you turn on your notifications so that you get notified when we drop new videos. There's a lot going on in Sooner Nation with the basketball team starting tonight uh, and softball again Wednesday. But we got to talk Bedlam. We're about 48 hours removed from that debacle of a game and defeat by the Sooners. You got West Virginia coming into Norman, a night game, 6 o'clock kick. Jay, I guess what's Sooner Nation thinking as far as this West Virginia game coming up and just where the state of the program is right now?
Well, you can't let this snowball, man. You cannot. You got to move on. We said it last week. You got to flush the Kansas performance. You got to flush the last two because what you can't have happen if you're OU and Brent Venables is this snowball on you and you end up 7-5 or 8-4. You need to end it now. End up 10-2. Go win a bowl game. 10-2. Win the bowl game. That's a step forward for this team. I know it's disappointment because who you lost to, Kansas and OSU, but at this point, you got to flush it. You got to get out there and beat West Virginia. West Virginia, if you remember last year, Garrett Green gave OU some problems. He did. So you got to just get it out of your mentality and go play a complete football game for once.
I agree. And look, all OU players, coaches, fans would say right now where OU's at, the goals did not get reached this year. I mean, there's a backdoor way they can sneak into the Big 12 title game. If that were to happen, that goal could still be there, but they're going to need some help. But with the goals that they've set already maybe not being able to be achieved, are there personnel changes, on the field that we're going to see, in your opinion, moving forward?
I mean, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of difference because otherwise, what are you saying? That you're giving up on the season? I mean, right? I mean, I know there's a backdoor way, Jeremy, they get in the Big 12 championship, but there's no backdoor way if they lose another game.
So I agree. I'm not saying you make
personnel changes. To me means guys like Kip Lewis, who should have already been getting more playing time. After his performance Saturday with 15 tackles, he needs to be playing. He needs to be starting. If it's next to Danny Stutzman, I think right now that's who you got to go with. He's playing really good football, and he's all over the field. I think guys like something like that, you got to play. To me, if Peyton Bowen's healthy, you got to start Peyton Bowen and not Key Lawrence. I know Key Lawrence got a little banged up the other day, but maybe that's something you see differently is Peyton Bowen. Jeremy, I know you've been really wanting Arnold to play some. Is this the opportunity? Is this what's going to happen, Jeremy? Is this what you're pushing here?
My whole thing with the Jackson Arnold thing is, look, Gabriel's been good. Hasn't been great the last couple of weeks. Last week he played a nice game, had some mistakes, but I just know that next year it's Jackson Arnold's team. Do we see Jackson Arnold for a series or two each game? I don't know. Moving into the SEC, do they try to get him some reps because they did early on in the year? Are they going to go back to that the second half of the year, the last few games? I don't know. I also think the running back room has to be figured out. I think that there's got to be maybe a personnel change, or at least see what they have at tight end. I know they're really just banged up in that position. They can't really rotate anyone in at the tight end position, Jay.
No, but you could maybe see Blake Smith a little more. He's healthy, right?
Possibly. I would like to see more rotation on the receivers. I would like to see a little more Petaway. I'd like to see more Jaden Gibson. They've got some guys, and we don't know really what they have except what they did earlier in the year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, but it's a tough situation because you do need to win out, but you also have when you start losing like this and you lose 2 games in a row to teams you have more talent than. That's when inside the locker room maybe players start to question, why am I playing? Maybe I'm just throwing this out there. A guy like Jaden Gibson, I don't know, but it's like, man, maybe it's the receivers in general. Hey, what are we doing offensively? I mean, this is when you can have some locker room troubles, and you gotta nix it in the butt, and you gotta move forward, and you gotta go win the game Saturday. And it's a night game at 6 p.m. Listen, one of the biggest things about Saturday game is going to be the recruiting, because you get a night game, you get players that can make visits, not being an 11 a.m. game. Really good possibility you see Grant Bricks there. You got to have a good performance. You can't come out there and have a lackadaisical, bad performance, crying in your tears after losing to OSU and Kansas. Listen, the reason they're in the boat they're in is maybe when they beat Texas, they celebrated a little too much. Now you can't go crying in your tears and lose some more.
Fact of the matter is they're not making the plays that they need to make. They're not.
Right.
They're not maybe even getting in the right things. But yeah, and look, the locker room is a bit. Brent Venables has to, must, must get this team in the right mindset. I don't know what the locker room is like. I'm not going to speculate that there's anything bad, but when you lose 2 games to teams you should beat, it's natural to think there's something going on, and maybe that's wrong. But this is a time adversity has hit. It didn't just hit last week. It hit 2 weeks in a row, possibly 3 weeks in a row. If you go back to UCF, they have not righted this ship. At some point, captain's got to get the ship righted. They got to get this thing going right direction, paddling hard, all forward momentum towards the SEC, which will be here before you know. But you've got to finish this thing strong. You got to finish it, be out 10-2, and win a bowl game.
This is probably, I would say, the most critical time in Brent Venables' tenure at Oklahoma, because last year was kind of a wash. It was his first year. People kind of gave him grace. If they don't finish strong, if they finish strong and end up 10-2 and win a bowl game, I think a lot of people before the year, a lot of people probably projecting that 10-2 you're going to lose to Texas. I don't think anybody thought you're going to lose to OSU and Kansas. But if you can finish up 10-2, look good doing it, not just squeaking out victories like they did against UCF, because they could have lost that game. And that's what I'm saying. Why does anybody at this point think they're going to blow out West Virginia when they barely beat UCF by 2? Something's got to change, and it's got to change this week. And you got to win the last 3 games in a great fashion, dominating, and go play a good bowl game and win it. And then things are looking great. You cannot go to an SEC limping, Jeremy. You can't go in there limping.
No, you can't. And Jay, OU's one drive away from being 4 straight losses right now. They very easily could have lost to Texas. They'd have 4 straight losses, very easily could be. This team is not.
They could have 4 wins or 4 losses. You're right.
And it's been the same the last 2 years. They're not winning the tight games. They're making too many mistakes.
They're not extending leads.
They're not extending leads. They're not putting the foot on throats when they need to. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting mindset, kind of how this team looks going into Saturday night. So make sure you are subscribed to our channel. We'll make sure we cover it every day. Every night at 9:30, Jay and I, Sooner Surge, Double Trouble. Hop on, give us your comments. We'll talk all things Sooner sports. Till next time, Boomer.
Sooner.